Where do you think pencils are? All right, my dears, you are working on reading, annotating the reading and annotating reading and annotating the Patrick Henry, Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death. This reading right here, Patrick Henry, Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death. Now notice with the reading, it does give you definitions to help you. Get your own paper. Coming sincere. All right, guys. Pencils down. Eyes up here. 3, 2, 1. All right. I wanted to pause here. Everybody was, at least to some level, doing some of their annotations. Some of you were doing much better than others. What I want to do is I want to pause and I want to start to look at some of the questions together, and I will help us go back and forth. Okay? I know that not everybody got as far as some of the other people, but that's okay. So what I want to do is I want to look at the first question. So if you turn to page 4 in the packet, you'll see the questions shown to you there. Okay? So turn to page 4. Turn to page 4. And you'll see the first question. Which of the following best describes the central idea of the text? Is it hope is the only comfort people can turn to in times of revolution and change? Patrick Henry believed that one cannot know the future, one can only anticipate its potential. Patrick Henry believed that the colonies should fight the British for freedom, as peace and reconciliation had been rejected, or the Virginia House of Burgesses had always believed that conflict with Great Britain was the only possible way to achieve freedom. So stay with us.
Answer it.
Yeah.
B?
Careful. What do you
Try
think?
again.
Yeah, you can try again.
A?
B?
Not B. C. C is our best choice. Patrick Henry believed that the colonies should fight the British for freedom.
Is Patrick Henry the Mr. President in the beginning?
Patrick Henry is our speaker.
Oh.
Okay. So let's go back. Patrick Henry is our speaker. And who is he talking to? Okay. So this speech, yes. Well, George Washington is one of the people in this group of people. It's directed to the president of the House of Burgesses. House of Burgesses is the legal governing group of Virginia. Okay? So George Washington is one of the legal representatives at that time in Virginia. Okay? Remember, this is the colonial period. We don't have a president of the United States yet because we don't have a United States. It doesn't exist yet. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. Nathan, you okay? I get it. You're just creating a little bit of a distraction. Okay? So he's giving this speech Yes, there is a president in the room, but there's a bunch of other people there, and a bunch of them are pretty important people. Okay? Everybody with me? Everybody have that so far? Okay. So, he's using some pretty persuasive language in paragraph 3. So, let's jump to countdown. So, here's first paragraph. They even tell you with a little bracket here. That's paragraph 1. Then they tell you that we are in paragraph 3. They tell us, sir, that we are weak, unable to cope with so formidable. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not paragraph 3. This is paragraph 3. My bad. Sir, we have done everything that could be done to avert the storm which is now coming on. We have petitioned, we have remonstrated, we have supplicated, we have prostrated ourselves before the throne. Basically, we have thrown ourselves down, we have begged, we have pleaded, we have done everything, thrown ourselves down. And we have implored its interposition to arrest the tyrannical hands of the Ministry of Parliament. We've done everything to beg, plead, to make sure that the tyrant doesn't hurt us. Our petitions have been slighted. They've basically, the tyrant refuses to do anything to stop. Our remonstrances have produced additional violence and insult. So even though we've begged, we've pleaded, all we've gotten is beaten more. Our supplications have been disregarded, and we have been spurned with contempt from the foot of the throne. We've been kicked off. In vain, after these things, may we indulge the fond hope of peace and reconciliation. There is no longer any room for hope. If we wish to be free, if we mean to preserve inviolate those inestimable privileges for which we have been so long contending, if we mean not basely to abandon the noble struggle in which we have been so long engaged, and which we have pledged ourselves never to abandon until the glorious object of our contest shall be obtained, we must fight. I repeat, sir, we must fight and appeal to arms and to God of hosts is all that is left us. So let's go back to the question. Which of the following best describes how Henry uses persuasive language in paragraph 3? Is it that Henry exaggerates facts to argue that the British intend to attack soon and regain control? Is it that Henry repeats the same sentence throughout in order to convince the audience that the British are untrustworthy? Is it that Henry uses rhetorical questions and answers to argue how futile trusting the British and continuing to try to make peace? Or is it that Henry compares the British behavior towards the other colonies that pleaded for independence with their behavior towards the American colonies? Okay, so what of those choices makes the most sense?
I'm gonna try with C.
C is correct. Good. He uses rhetorical questions and answers to argue how futile, how basically it's not going to work. Do we keep doing this? No. Look at what happens. Do we keep doing this? No. Look at what happens. Do we keep trying to please this tyrant? No. Look at how terrible this works for us. Do we keep trying to please this tyrant? No. He keeps beating us. Let's look at number 3. According to Henry, what alternatives did the colonists already try to appeal to Great Britain? Is it that they tried scaring the British with minor insurrections and conflicts? Like, boo. Did they pledge eternal loyalty to the crown in hopes of gaining British favor? Did they try petitioning, arguing, and pleading with the British ministry and crown? Grab the assignments. Grab the assignments. Or did they appeal to common British citizens for public support of their cause for independence? What do you think, Jamash?
C.
Excellent. They tried petitioning, arguing, and pleading with the British ministry and crown. Jamash, not Jamash. Duan, did you write down the answer? Which answer did you write down? Good job. It's a good thing that Vandel was writing down the answer for you on his paper.
Wolf.
Uh-huh. Let's move on. According to Henry, what are the means? So by what method that the colonies have to defeat the British? So now we have to look at the absolute last paragraph. Oh, I'm sorry, not the absolute last paragraph, but the paragraph that literally has the number 5 on it. They tell us, sir, that we are weak, unable to cope with so formidable an adversary. But when shall we be stronger? Will it be the next week or the next year? Will it be when we are totally disarmed? Gentlemen, I'm sorry. Did you have all the answers?
No, I'm hoping you get the answers.
Uh-huh. Yes.
The third one is C.
We have answered C, C, and C. Will it be next week or the next year? Will it be when we are totally disarmed and when a British guard shall be stationed in every house? Shall we gather strength by insurrection or inaction? Shall we acquire the means of effectual resistance by lying supinely, basically by lying and waiting to be like run over on our backs? That's what supinely means. And hugging the delusive phantom of hope until our enemies shall have bound us hand and foot? Sir, we are not weak if we make a proper use of those means by which God of nature has placed in our power 3 millions of people armed in the holy cause of liberty, and in such a country that which we possess are invincible by any force which our enemy can send against us. Besides, sir, we shall not fight our battles alone. There is a just God who presides over the destinies of nations and who will raise up friends to fight our battles for us. The battle, sir, is not the strong alone. It is the vigilant, the active, the brave. Besides, sir, we have no election if we are base enough to desire it. It is now too late to retire from the contest. There is no retreat, but in submission and slavery. Our chains are forged. Their clanking may be heard on the plains of Boston. The war is inevitable, and let it come. I repeat it, sir, let it come. So, returning back to the question, what are the means that the colonies have to defeat the British? What do they have? What's their advantage? Jamash.
D.
Yeah, people willing to fight. They have allies, and they have a just cause. They have a basically God is on their side. They have this a reasonable backing on their side. Go on. No one wants to hear you sing. Not ever. Not ever. Okay. Our last question. In the text, Henry appeals to the ethos, basically the general theme, by demonstrating his character and credibility. Which of the following statements best describes that he is a trustworthy person? Is it is only in this way that we can hope to arrive at the truth and fulfill the great responsibility which we hold to God and our country? found in paragraph 1? Is it, I have but one lamp by which my feet are guided, and it is the lamp of experience, found in paragraph 3? Is it, I ask, gentlemen, sir, what means this martial array, if it is purpose, be not to force us to submission, found also in paragraph 3? Or is it, an appeal to arms and to God of hosts is all that is left us, found in paragraph 4? What do you think, Jamash?
A.
This one is a tough one. What do you think, Demetrius? No. Jamil? It is B. I have one lamp by which my feet are guided. Basically, I have only one true path. I have one true path, one purpose, and that's my guiding light. Okay? All right. We're going to switch gears and we're going to look at our crash course activity. Essentially, what I want to look at here is that essentially Patrick Henry was calling for action, and he was essentially saying, we have the advantage. We have this advantage in war. We have this advantage of more people. We have this advantage of having this just cause. But did the colonists truly have the advantage in these contests, in this war? And if they did, why didn't the war quickly end? But weren't they going against essentially a global superpower? England had a massive empire. So why didn't England quickly win in the other direction? Why did this war go on? Yes. There's a lot of things at stake. So let's see why this kind of dragged on for a while. And why the conflict itself was one that there are definitely winners and losers. Yes, dear.
Skill issue.
He said, "Oh my God."
Yeah, we're gonna just let that go. There's definitely winners and losers, but unfortunately, there's also people that lost out that still remained here. So, any idea as to who would have been losing out that remained here? I think he made out okay, even with getting shot several times. Who else? Who else would have lost though? I'm thinking, describing a group. Who would have lost?
The British?
Well,
The natives, I think?
there we go. As a group, Native Americans are going to lose big time because they're here, but they're not going to win out at all. They're going to be in a pretty bad situation, having been stuck in this situation. Ooh, hey now.
Hi,
Thank you. Having been stuck with us winning this conflict. Okay, thank you for the ad.
Excuse me.
Having been stuck in this conflict with us winning. Stop.
Young sir.
But there's other groups that will also lose out. If you remember from our declaration activity, there's over half of the population that get no representation after the war. Karen. Yeah, honey. Sweetheart, can you just hold on to that thought for a second?
On green, this is crap.
Bad guy again, right? Big guy.
Honey, could you just stop speaking for, I don't know, the rest of today? All right. So let's get started. Thank you. I'm going to move it up here. And let's begin.
There are two kinds of revolutions. Those where things do change and those where things don't change. Like, not to get all crash course mathematics on you or anything, but a revolution is a 360-degree turn, which leaves you back where you started. That's what happened with the French Revolution. Basically, they just exchanged a bourbon for a Bonaparte. What? I don't have to say it all Frenchy. This is American history. And shut up, French people, about how if it weren't for your support in the American Revolution, this would be the history of southern Canada. But other revolutions, like the Industrial Revolution, actually changed things. So, which was the American Revolution? Well, little of column A, little of column B. Mr. Green! Yeah, we went from a bunch of rich white guys running the show all the way to a bunch of rich white guys running the show. You're not wrong, mate, from the past. The 1700s were a pretty good century for rich white guys everywhere. I mean, they were running the show in Holland and Portugal and Spain, but only the United States became the country that invented baseball, the Model T, and competitive eating. So you're right, me from the past, but even if the U.S. didn't live up to its rhetoric, that rhetoric was still powerful. And in the end, whether you care more about ideas or policy defines whether you think the American Revolution really was revolutionary. All right, let's start with the War for Independence. If you've been watching Crash Course, you'll know that we're not big on gratuitous war details, but we're obligated to tell you something about it. The main strategy of the British in the Revolutionary War was to capture all the cities and force the colony.
Okay, I'm going to pause here so that we can get the first answer. What was the main strategy of the British? Demetrius.
Was to capture all the cities and force the colonists.
Good. Now, because this is a slightly longer answer, I wanted to pause it here so that you would have the chance to get the answer. So it was to capture all the cities and force the colonists to surrender. So that's our number one answer. To capture all the cities and force the colonists to surrender. So capture all the cities and force the colonists to surrender. Now, quick question. Did colonists all live in cities? No. So this has a fatal flaw for the British. Because if the majority of the population does not live in cities, this is a problematic plan. Because if you are focusing only on city dwellers, then the colonists are basically going to be like, okay, if that's your strategy, then we're not going to attack you from the cities. Okay. Waiting for a couple people to finish. So, capture all the cities and force colonists to surrender. Okay, let's continue on.
First part of that strategy pretty much worked. They captured Boston and New York and Charleston, but all the colonists had to do was not quit. I mean, they had home field advantage, knowledge of the terrain, easier supply lines,
Okay, so let's go through what were the colonists' advantage. Okay, Jamaj, tell me letter A.
Home field advantage.
Yeah, home field advantage. Home field advantage. Tanya, tell me the second one.
Knowledge of the terrain.
Knowledge of the terrain. So letter B is knowledge of the terrain. Sincere, what's letter C?
Easier supply line.
Nice, easier supply lines. And you're not going to write Mr. Creepy Eyes. That doesn't make any sense. What does he mean for letter D? Who's Mr. Creepy Eyes? Who is this?
George Washington.
Yeah, George Washington. Okay, George Washington. Okay, so A should be home field advantage. We knew our territory here. So we know our own area. We know the actual land itself. And basically, if somebody's attacking your home, you're definitely going to have a lot more like territorial desire to protect your home versus if it's fighting on enemy territory. Easier supply lines, it's much easier to reinforce your supplies if it is right around the corner as opposed to shipping things over an ocean. And then, of course, we had a pretty awesome leadership in the form of George Washington. Now, FYI, his early leadership, not so great. He got a lot of people killed. As time went on, he got better at it.
He got more wise.
But, that's usually how leadership works. You don't come out the gate excellent at it. Okay? Are we doing all right? Are we ready to continue? Couple people still writing. All right. Let's see. Do we have time to get one more? Yeah, I think we have time to get one more.
How much time we got?
Like 3 minutes. I know.
Down here. So while the British took the cities, the Americans, or Continentals, held onto the countryside. The most famous battle of the war was probably the Battle of Trenton, where Washington was like, I'm gonna cross the Delaware on Christmas morning.
Okay. So, what's the most famous battle that involves Washington crossing the Delaware on Christmas morning? Did you catch it?
I forgot.
Come on, it involves a New Jersey city.
The Battle for Independence?
No, come on. Yeah, the Battle of Trenton. Battle of Trenton. Battle of Trenton. Okay, Battle of Trenton. Okay, Battle of Trenton. All right, that is where we're going. Yes, dear. As long as you put Trenton, you're good. Okay? All right, we're going to stop here. We're going to turn both of these in because that essentially was the key information I wanted to get to today. So, please make sure that all of your papers get turned in to the desk behind Karan, okay? All of your papers get turned in to the desk behind Karen, okay? Make sure your name's on both. Your name's on both.